Oh, that you can do it too. I've made every mistake in the world, man. I'm telling you, there's not a whole lot of things. There are exceptions, but that somebody can look at me and say, "Well, I went through that, so you don't know what it's like." Was like, well, I've been through, my fair share of the ups and the downs. That the hardest is 0 to 1. If you can go from 0 to 1 and you have to work at it.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bursey, and today I'm joined by someone I've really been looking forward to chatting with, Tanner Lough, who's been making serious moves in the property services and facility management space. Every investor knows that a deal is only as good as the team maintaining it. Tanner has built a reputation across the state for bridging the gap between deferred maintenance and peak performance. If you've ever wondered how the pros keep their portfolios running smoothly, this conversation is for you. Tanner, welcome to the show.
Howdy, man. It's good. It's good to meet you. It's good to see you. Now.
It's awesome having you here. And if you could share with our audience your story, how did you start your career and what are you focusing on now?
Sure. So certainly my career got started is I worked for a company called, it was a wonderful company called Professional Property Management for a long time, several years. And I rose through the ranks of that company to ostensibly manage all of their offsite portfolio, all of their offsite apartment buildings and different properties. I had a half a dozen, to 8 guys reporting to me. I handled all the inventory, and if that wasn't enough, at night, with my wife and I at that point wanting to start a family, and I've always been sort of a workhorse. Um, I started cold calling people with properties for rent on Zillow because, that's how I got my start and that's what I was managing at the time. And, you get to a point when you're calling, you're using your script, you can just kind of sort of watch the football game or, you can do various other things. It becomes automated. And my callback rate was huge because there was such a huge need for not calling your local plumber or electrician or HVAC guy for a 20 or 30 or 40, $50 problem. Um, the callback rate was ginormous on that, to the point where the business at night and on the weekends was starting to generate more income than my job was. So my wife and I sat down and had that conversation, and eventually, she certainly pushed me to take the leap into into business ownership, and then from there we've it's it takes a long time, but over the last certainly several years, we've snowballed it into what it is now of maintaining single family houses, commercial apartments, and now we have facility agreements and different maintenance contracts. I mean, now we're several hundred properties we maintain, if not 1,000 that we've gone to and maintained, whether it's outbound calls or service contracts and those kind of things to and specifically tailor towards investor landlords. That is our bread and butter. We're not sort of just general contractors where if you call us because you need a new kitchen, our stuff is specifically tiered towards that value proposition and that relationship between us and the landlord. And we've certainly scaled it that way, and that's the value that we bring to investors and landlords, that kind of thing. And that's just, sort of one pocket of what we do.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Very well said. What do you think are some of your core strengths right now?
Um, the core strengths. So that's interesting. I've laid out the value proposition for the business and what our strengths are now, and I reference this other pocket of what we have of our own ownership. Along the way, the goal of the business is to take that money that's on that balance sheet and put it in your own pocket. So then we take that money, that cash flow, and we invest in different opportunities, whether um, we're part of a syndication of partners that we go and we invest and we end up building new construction apartments into um, senior living facilities, those kind of things. And then also, we're getting into, new construction, commercial development, and over the next 18 months, we're locking down some property that we can build our own and, internal new construction apartments. And that's really the value add and what we drive is certainly for us, and that's the core strength in the secret sauce, the competitive edge that I have, that my wife and I that we have as a team to buying properties because I mean, look, with the interest rates expanding, the return on investment certainly contracting, where do we find value in what we're buying? Well, we love buying properties that when we look at the P&L, we see extremely high maintenance costs because they're outsourcing, it costs them $2,700 to fix a water heater. It doesn't cost us that. It doesn't cost us, $160 to have a plumber come out to fix a leaky P-trap or $300 to fix a faucet or whatever else. So those are the properties we're identifying and inside of our funnel of all of the opportunities that we have to buy, we're looking for the properties because that's where we can compete. We can't compete with the big guys that have lots of money that are, I have several clients that own property because there's different ways you can structure it legally, but having holding companies and management companies where you can use real estate to depreciate your active income or have passive losses that offset your passive gains, those kind of things. And how do we compete with those guys that have very high net worths and active income that are buying properties? If they cash flow a couple $100 a month, they're fine with that because because they have a great career and they're using that to offset their income. And so where do we compete? Well, it's in the sweat equity. That's where we can compete. It's driving down the maintenance costs, driving up the value of the properties, driving up the net operating income of the properties through lower expenses and those kind of things.
That's awesome. It all started with property maintenance, but it really evolved to a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Tanner, let's talk about the hard truth. What are the pros doing right now that the amateurs perhaps are missing?
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Well, on the sliding scale of pros, it there's levels to real estate. Big, big gaps between the levels. So, I have friends that maybe their family owns, a couple 100 million in real estate. And then I have, other people that specifically are buying one type of property over another. So if you want to go to the one s- set, the extreme spectrum of the high net worth, I'm seeing these syndication deals where these mega new construction developments, they'll raise money from, 20, 30, 40, 50 people to build out huge, um, you know, to build out huge new large scale developments. What's really popular, especially around here, is the data center things and the secondary tertiary effects of that, where it's they're putting up a lot of people I know that are big money players. They're putting up what are called flex spaces, but they can also, I don't know, you can't, you certainly in my opinion, I wouldn't go that route, because you better put up some serious money and have some serious time to wait for that development growth. So, you're looking at, all this information is public. You can see the 10-year plan of any municipality. They have a master civic plan. You can see if this particular farmland in the next 5 years, 10 years, when they're going to get their roads paved, utilities, sewer, water, gas, when all the utilities are going underground to that farmland. It's all public information. And so certainly the big players are buying up farmland that they know in 5 or 10 years they'll be able to plot it out. Like, I know one guy specifically that buys farmland that he knows, well, the utility, he pays a premium for it, but he knows utilities are coming in 5 years. So his company, what they do is they wait for the road to be paved, all the utilities to be brought up to the site. They plot it out, they zone it out or rezone it and plot it out, and do the dirt work, get all the site prep done, and then they sell all the plots to DR Horton. That's their whole gig, is just site prep things. Um, you know, and that's certainly, and then the other people that I'm seeing are really crushing it are the, I have several blue collar friends that are in the trades. So let's say they're an electrician, they're a plumber, and on the, like how I started, is on your nights and weekends, you look for a house with, if you're an electrician, with major electrical issues, and you go in there and you fix it and you sell it. Same thing with plumbing. You could have tens of thousands of dollars in bills to repipe a sewer stack in a house. But if you rent the excavator yourself and you go out and dig it and you repipe it, it's just the cost of material for you. And then, so you're ostensibly getting paid on the sale. You're just not getting a paycheck. And then HVAC guys are crushing it right now, because there's a national building code where multifamily spaces can no longer share the same return air, or you got to isolate your mechanicals anymore. Where that could be a $10,000 to $15,000 bill per unit, but they can go in there and they can install their own mini split. They can install their own HVAC systems they replace out HVAC systems that are still halfway decent, that still run and work. They can go in there and put their own duct in, put a used system in there that's still good, and capture the upside of that equity on the refinance or the sale of that property. They're making big money on that. And you'll notice a theme that these are all competitive advantages that people have.
Yes. Very, very well said. Very well described. What markets are you operating in, Tanner?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
So we're in the Des Moines market. We've got projects and things going on all over the city to Ankeny and Waukee, West Des Moines, Johnson, Urbandale, all the way up to the east side of town, your Bondurants, your Altoona. We have projects going on everywhere. And then, plus, we're at the point now where um, we're buying 5 houses this month we closed on one already. The lawyer, I just saw the lawyer text me a little bit ago about getting a purchase agreement signed for the other four. And now, we bought that property in Altoona probably 12 days ago, and I run a really tight ship. So we went from zero to buying this dilapidated property to 12 days later, it'll be, that property will be turned. It has a new roof, new HVAC system, new driveway. It's got, all new interior, kitchen cabinets, countertops, paint, trim. I mean, the whole works of the inside. And we haven't decided yet. And I think the realtor actually texted me a little bit ago. Depending on what the sale of the property is, we may have a 1031 that we can take the profit of that property to put it into. We haven't fully committed to one thing or another, because we can't just we don't want to just sell it and capture that income, because then what do you do with it? We either we'll keep it as a rental and we'll refinance it and pull the equity out. We like to see $200 a door on so when we're refinancing, we're evaluating that, just how much can we strip out, and that's after everything, after all the expenses, the homeowner's insurance, the CapEx stuff. I mean, all of our maintenance reserves, everything, all the expenses. We like to see a cash flow of $200 a door, and that works for us because we can take that equity out. And the benefit is I'm 31 now. We also have time that we can have these properties paid. We can have these properties paid down and keep the snowball going.
Very good point. Excellent point. And Tanner, what caught my attention about you was the way you've been able to position yourself as a strategic partner for the long-term investor. That's a tall order, especially with the current market headwinds we're facing. What's been the anchor for your business that allows you to stay consistent and predictable in an industry that usually feels like a roller coaster?
Well, two strengths. What I've developed over the relationships I've developed over the years, we've sort of weeded out, and we have the clients that we really love and are on board with the mission. Our 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 baseline clients and what we have now are not your investors that need to need to totally wring out the towel. Primarily, primarily these are people with high income, high net worth that buy rental properties as, either to offset their active income or to diversify their portfolios. Their top tier worry is not if a leaky P trap cost $150 or $175, and that trust comes over years of relationship building and talking people through things and always being available. Um, and then and I forgot where I was going. What was your question again? I forgot where I was going with my second point.
Well, basically, the anchor behind your business.
Oh yeah. And then the second one is I'm never worried per se about getting slow because how I started. I mean, if you ever get slow,
Sure.
you pick up the phone and you call. Like picking up the phone and calling people for rent on Zillow. I can drum up more work than I can even fathom just by picking up the phone, dialing, asking for referrals. The consistent stream of income, if you treat people right, if you act in their best interest, what you'll learn in life is People wanna know that somebody has their back. Oftentimes, real estate is the best way to pass on wealth, in my opinion, because of the golden goose theory. Like, when I die, my kids don't just hit the lottery. If they want the golden eggs, they've gotta take care of the goose. They have to feed the goose, they have to water the goose, take the goose to the vet. If you have to take care of it if you want the golden eggs. And a lot of people realize that, and that's why you certainly see high income, high net worth people involved in real estate very passively, because it's a way of diversifying their wealth and passing on their wealth that that is there's no other way to do it, especially if other than with real estate, in my opinion. So that's been the anchor, is being able to call people and make relationships and always be open doing things like this. And just, I'm certainly way outside of my comfort zone. We're not really, my wife and I aren't super active in the social media. I don't know, we might have a social media for our business, I'm not sure. But being able to just have people's backs and be there for them,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
is the way, if you just take care of people and act in people's best interest, the work is there. I mean, then that's
Absolutely.
our anchor.
Absolutely. Always a winning recipe. And I commend you for taking that stance. Tanner, every elite operator has a defining moment where the strategy, met the reality of the market. I'm talking about a contract that hit the wall or a pivot you had to make in real time. Do you have a battle story that shaped how you operate today?
A battle story. My business has always gone on pretty smooth. I had this open relationship with my clients of like, hey, my relationship with you is not worth a couple $100. If you get the bill and there's a problem, just call me and I'll either explain it to you or we'll figure it out. So I can sleep at night knowing that what I send is fair, what they're receiving is fair, and that they know that they can call me. I mean, battle stories. I mean, depends on how you work, which direction you wanna go. But I don't have any litigious things or contract agreement, because a lot of stuff, and I may be overlooking things that happened in the past that now when you look back on, just really weren't that big of a deal, but maybe in that time, they were a huge deal. But anymore, we're pretty sound on who we work with, and what we do is I don't have that problem or that worry anymore.
And quite frankly, that's a testament to how you've maintained your operations, your business plan, the way that you have built your business. Now, I know a lot of our audience is either earlier in their journey or looking to level up, and I think they'd benefit from hearing this from you. When it comes to building relationships and growing your network, what's made the biggest difference for you?
Man, that old adage is you're the sum total of the people around you. Is extending your neck out, is being in the rooms that you don't belong in. It's reaching out to people that you have no business reaching out to them. It's, doing things like this. It's extending that comfort zone, and having a knowledge base that when you do meet these people, you can provide real value to them. On
Absolutely.
certainly, the huge operators that now I'm friends with started off with a worry and a question of, how do I handle this? And I was there and lucky and blessed at the right place and time to be able to answer those questions. So there's a bit of luck, that's drawn into that.
But you took that opportunity and prospered with it. And hey, that's the key. And what you
Yeah,
just
certainly.
mentioned is not just good karma, that's a bulletproof business strategy. Interested to know, Tanner, in your experience, what is the one expensive mistake you see most maintenance business owners making right now that true pros have completely outsourced from their operating style?
A true expense ha- has got to be, as you're growing, buying the latest and greatest new trucks, adding debt to a business. I don't have any debt on our business. Now, there's debt on the personal side of real estate, but those things are cash flowing and they're being paid down. We've never taken a distribution from any of our properties. It stays there to either pay down or to snowball into the next one. We take the active income from all Iowa maintenance, and that's what we live by. We talked earlier about this pantheon of men that I've had around me that's really shaped and molded who I am. And one of them lives by the adage of you work for your lifestyle and you invest for your net worth. So we've always lived by that. 'Cause the biggest mistake is as you're growing, buying the latest and greatest things, whether that's, instead of buying a used dump trailer for 5 grand, you go out and you spend, 17,000 on a piece of equipment instead of, the most successful people I've been lucky enough to meet, whether in any industry, they quasi dump trucking is a little bit different because you need new trucks, um, but when it comes to, the dirt work business, buying a used bulldozer or buying a used truck and then learning how to fix it yourself.
Sure. Sure.
It's saddling the business with debt because I sleep easy at night. I don't have to worry about a banker calling me on the business side of things because I have 6 figures in debt because I needed the latest and greatest trucks with all the advertisement and all these things. We've just grown naturally over time, and when it gets busy, you rise to that occasion. You work the 80,
Yes.
90, 100 hours a week to get yourself back to a more stable strategy. I can't say that enough of I've seen so many operators on the service side of business go out of business because they make a little bit of money 1 year or 1 quarter and they think and they're scared of paying taxes. So they go out and they buy a brand new truck that they can depreciate, a brand new piece of equipment that they think that they're appreciating. Although you're still cutting the check. you still, it's not like the government is giving you the $70,000 to go buy the new truck instead of buying a truck that's 10 years old that suffices and works just fine and paying for it with cash. And that's one thing you'll learn about me too is, I do have this sort of 10% Dave Ramsey that's like right here. I'm sort of in the middle. I know guys that super accelerate debt pay downs, and I don't think that's exactly the safest strategy because when you're low on cash but you're high on equity, if you start missing mortgage payments, even if you're high on equity, they'll still foreclose on you if you start missing payments. So it's good to have cash in reserve. But then I've seen on the other end of the spectrum of people that just launch capital and debt to the ceiling to try to grow. And, there's a case that happened not too long ago with a guy here that was building out 40 different properties. And all of a sudden, all the vendors went to get paid and his doors were closed. And good luck if you structure the company the right way, even with the right contractual agreements, you won't get paid because the business filed bankruptcy, and you can't if that individual did everything right, you can't pierce the veil to come after their personal assets. Only what's in that business, from my understanding. So when you collapse that entity, you getting paid is non-existent anymore. So I'm certainly a hybrid between those two, where I do what's best for my family and my security level because only one thing matters to me, and it's how I sleep at night. I sleep good, and I'm
And
at the right debt ratio. And when that gets to be a little much, we take that snowball and we start paying down some debt. We like to put down big down to we don't try to do the minimums when it comes to, down payments on properties or those kind of things. I want I want more cash flow from being stripped from the properties. Because, that's also one of our more ultimate goals is I'm not looking at my life looking at being a gazillionaire. We have a goal of income that we're on track to make, you know, when I'm 40 that can retire for myself. Well, I already retired my wife, um, but that I can also retire. So it's a cash flow number that I can generate generational wealth with, because those cash flows will come up. You know, my son and my daughter will eventually take over and they can build their own legacies with that. Um, and so it's also trying to match what our family goals are, what my wife and I, what our family goals are, um, and what we feel comfortable with. So as operators, we're not getting the knock on the door because, we missed 1 month of payments because the work was slow.
Absolutely. And it's surely evident that the way you've structured your operations works very well for you. Tanner, what's the one part of your story you hope really sticks out for our listeners today?
Oh, that you can do it too. I've made every mistake in the world, man. I'm telling you, there's not a whole lot of things. There are exceptions, but that somebody can look at me and say, "Well, I went through that, so you don't know what it's like." Was like, well, I've been through, my fair share of the ups and the downs. That the hardest is 0 to 1. If you can go from 0 to 1 and you have to work at it because you have to find your secret sauce and how you can compete. You have to work from 0 to 1 because then once you have 1 under your belt, you can go from 1 to 2 pretty easily. And then once you have 2 under your belt, you can go from 2 to 4 pretty easily. And then 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 18 to 32 fairly easily in time.
Absolutely. All right. Before we wrap, if someone wanted to reach out, connect with you, maybe collaborate or learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach you, Tanner?
My wife and I mentioned this earlier are fairly private. We're not super on social media or that kind of stuff. If you have any questions you want to get, if you're an investor operator within Des Moines, you have properties and you want to reach out and have a conversation, we can put my email in the show notes or whatever it is. It's my first name Tanner, and then it's at iowamakeready.com. That's probably the best way to reach me because, I'm not on my phone super, a lot anymore. I'm either working, I'm hunting, or with the family. That is how I've structured my lifestyle, is to be in one of those three categories at all times.
Perfect. Well, listen, Tanner, I appreciate your time, your story, and your perspective. We need more people in this space who are doing it the right way. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We should do this again. I mean, there's a ton of topics, and we can get super granular on some and two. So I'd be happy to do this again. This was a remarkable experience, and you're a great guy. I appreciate it.
The door will always be open for you. And for those of you tuning in, we truly appreciate you. If you found a gold nugget or two in today's conversation, make sure you're subscribed. We're committed to bringing this level of executive clarity on every episode to help you stay ahead of the curve. We'll see you in the next show, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.